Hey everybody, it's Jake with Myers Flies. Today we're going to be tying an egg sucking leech pattern. This is one that it's easy to tie and very effective. Got some great movement in the water. Here what I have, I'm tying these up for the salmon run up in New York. And so I'm using a little bit heavier hook than I would just, around here in south central Pennsylvania when I'm doing just trout fishing. If I'm fishing for, smaller trout, obviously I'm not going to use such a heavy hook. This is the Boss hook from Daiichi, the 2581 Boss hook. So it's pretty stout. I mean, that holds, big, 30, 40 inch salmon. So you wouldn't need something that heavy, but necessarily you don't need anything that long either. We're not going to make the tail really long on this, so you're not going to have to worry about short strikes and things like that. But what I've got here is that Daiichi 2581, and then this is a 5/32, just a brass bead in a hot orange color. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of 140 denier UTC thread in the color red. Just kind of get that on there, and then I've got just a little rabbit strip here, little zonker strip, just a black zonker strip, and you'll see it's kind of cut on an angle. What I'm going to do is stick that angle back up in underneath of that bead, and then just start tying that down. Now, a lot of guys will pick all this hair off of here, and you can do that. It's not a big issue, but I really don't bother with it a whole lot. I do put that little base of thread underneath of the zonker strip, and, a lot of times what I'll do, I didn't do it here on this video, but what I do when I'm tying up a bunch of these is I'll put a little dab of super glue on there. Again, really unnecessary, but it just kind of helps the durability of it, especially for the big salmon up in New York. Now what I'll do is I'm coming through is I'll kind of bring this back underneath of the back of this, and then kind of come back down and tighten it again. Put 2 wraps, go back underneath of here, see how, and then kind of back up in here again. And what that does is I'm going back through there. I just do that a couple of times, and it really traps that down. Now I'm going to go back to about where the hook barb would be on this, and that's about it. So you'll end up with something that looks like this. We're going to trim this. We're going to trim this tail off, but that's what you're gonna end up with right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim this. Now on my vise, this little material holder here is, about just a little more than a hook shank here in length. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to get my scissors between the hair. You can see how you kind of just separate it between the hair and the zonker strip. See that? I just want to slide. I'm just going to slide my blade of my scissors just a little bit on an angle. I'm just going to cut that off, and I like to cut it on an angle so that it just kind of goes back to a point there. So there you can kind of see that. And this gets in the water. This is gonna, and this has so much movement. Now I'm going to do is run this back, and I've got a little bit of this Midnight Fire ice dub from Hairline, and this stuff is an awesome looking color for the for this pattern. Now this is very long strands. Okay, I'm going to work this dubby noodle on here. This ice dub has got some long strands to it. I'm not trying to be super, picky with getting, this dubbing to be very tight. Okay, it's going to be on there a little bit loose because it is. I don't know if you can see that. It's some really long strands of this dubbing, and you'll see here in just a minute what this is going to do for us. So I'm going to put it on there. You can see on that noodle, it's not extremely tight, but I'm just going to work this from the back, and I'm just going to work this forward, work it back, come forward again, right there. Then we'll go ahead and whip finish. Now I usually put a double whip finish on there. You don't really have to. Again, just some bigger fish. Now I'm going to put a little bit of Solares right on the top. And I'm also going to get around to the bottom of those thread wraps. Those big salmon can have some pretty aggressive teeth. Also, those big brown trout can do the same. See, that's got some nice shine to it. Now what I'm going to do is just come back through here, just take a little piece of Velcro and just kind of pick that out a little bit. And those long, you see that, them long strands are just going to go, they kind of flow right back into all of that. And when that's in the water, that's got some nice movement. So what it just looks like is, you know, a little salmon egg there and a little leech on the bottom of the creek bed just kind of attaches to one of them little salmon eggs. That's why they call it egg sucking leech. And again, just some nice movement. Very simple to tie. A lot of times I'll tie these like this with that little bead. That's just a real quick deal there. I also tie them with the ecstasy, you know, the ecstasy yarn. Just put an egg on the front of that. And then also, you know, I tie them with the little egg and like the Estes on there. So you can see just a little bit of a variation with all of those. I'll show you one more I did with the salmon egg, and then I like that one too. It's got the bead, but I just used the ecstasy yarn, you know, and just tied the egg on. So a lot of stuff you can do with it. It's not a really hard pattern, but they are really effective. So give that a try. You can find the material on our website at myersflies.com. Stop down at the fly shop, and we've been in some construction down there. We're building a house there. My brother Josh is building a home there, so there's been a lot of stuff with equipment, so that the parking lot's been taken up with that a little bit. So our hours have been a little off, and especially with the with the snow that we've been getting. But you can still do orders online. Give us a call, shoot us an email, whatever. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to help. Hope this pattern is effective for you as it has been for me. And take care. God bless.